Welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Dr. Mrinmoy Pramanik. I teach Comparative Indian Language and Literature at the University of Calcutta. Today, we'll discuss a paper from Comparative Literature, Drama in India. And this module is on Bharati Sarabhai's The Will of the People. The content of this module is written by Abu Saleh, University of Hyderabad. This module introduces you to the playwright Bharati Sarabhai and more specifically to her play The Will of the People. First, in this section, you will be introduced to the life, career and other writings of Bharati which earned her recognition. Later on this module, you would learn about the play, its themes and critical analysis along with some other interesting facts. About the playwright. Bharati Sarabhai was born in 1912 and was one of the first modern women playwrights of Indian English drama. A bilingual writer, she wrote both in Gujarati and English. She was the founding member of Gujarat Vidya Sabha. Sarabhai, though a high caste woman, became an ardent follower of Gandhi and worked in his Sabarmati ashram. Her two plays, The Will of the People, written in 1943, and Two Women in 1952, are inspired by Mahatma Gandhi's philosophy. An active political campaigner, she was a member of the Indian National Congress and supported the Gandhian vision of post-colonial India. Sarabhai also used to write poetry and contributed some of her poems to the publications of Indian Writing and the London Mercury, a monthly magazine founded in 1919, which published creative writings alongside reviews and essays and was significant for featuring short stories and poetry by Indian writers. Now let us talk about works of Bharati Sarabhai. Bharati Sarabhai is the foremost distinguished women dramatist who gave a Gandhian touch to Indian English drama. Bharati Sarabhai has written stage plays and poems. Her play The Will of the People, published from Calcutta by the Vishwa Bharati Press in 1943. Later, another play, Two Women, published from Bombay by the Hind Kitabas in 1952. She wrote a poem, No Time for Remorse, for the Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. It was published in Indian Writing 1.3 volume, March 1941, and later republished in Wasafiri, magazine of International Contemporary Writing, its 27.2 volume, in June 2012. Her another poem, Haridwara, came in the Golden Treasury of Indo-Anglian Poetry by Sahitya Akademi, New Delhi. The other play of Sarabhai, Two Women in 1952, written in prose form, has a more realistic tone and it highlights the conflict and tension that caused with the encounter of East and West. The conflict between tradition and modernity is highlighted. The two women character, Anuradha and Urvashi, in the play represent the face of modern Indian womanhood. Anuradha gets into a conflict with her husband when she decides to go to the Himalayas in a quest for spiritual peace. After her husband compromises his sudden death, new realization comes upon Anuradha. Now she does not find the meaning she was looking for in her original quest. Urvashi, a widowed girl, becomes a devotional singer. The two women shows that one need not search God in a particular sacred spaces. God can be found everywhere or anywhere. Now let us talk about literary style of Bharati Sarabhai. Although she had no experience of writing for theatre, she has come to be classified as one of the significant playwrights who contributed to the development of Indian English drama, especially to emerge in the Indian pre-independence era. Her plays explore themes from legends and epics, historical events, and contemporary social problems of the times. In both her plays, Sarabhai breathes new meaning into the age-old Indian beliefs and customs. In both of her works, Sarabhai has clearly woven the Vedantic concept that God is within us into the narrative. Her literary works highlight the contrast and clash that takes place when East counters the West. One follows the tradition and the other represents modernity and chose to flow with the changing times. Bharati Sarabhai is the only notable and the first woman dramatist in Indian English drama of the pre-independence period. Most of her women characters in the plays are symbols of virtue and advocates of the hegemonic culture that places women in the subordinate position. The plays reflect the spirit of the pre-independence times with regard women. Both of her plays differ from each other not only in terms of theme but also in their mood, treatment and representation of women characters. While The Well of the People is poetic in tone and deeply influenced by the Gandhian philosophy, The Two Women is written in prose and represents more contradictions between two different cultures and looks much more realistic in nature. Further, The Well of the People talks of Gandhian social order, but The Two Women focuses on the woman's inner world. However, in both the works, women plays the central character. In some way, both the plays try to break the ancient dogmas and customs, but retaining the Indian ethos and maintaining the traditional boundaries that reflect the distinct identity of Indian tradition. Now, let us focus on the background of the play. The Will of the People, 1943, upholds Gandhi's well-known doctrine of Daridra Narayana, worship of the poor as God. Her first play, The Well of the People, is symbolically charged with Gandhiji's socio-political ideologies. It is an allegorical play written in poetic prose. The plot is based on a real story published in Gandhiji's weekly journal Harijan. The story was about an old Brahmin widow who was unable to achieve her ambition of going on a pilgrimage to the holy river Ganges. She now decides to please the god by building a well for the untouchables in her village and spends the savings with her savings. Here, Sarabhai breathes new meaning into our old beliefs and customs and thereby tries to view the modern problems with a cultural background of the ancient Indian womanhood. Setting of the play. For the use of poetic language, The Will of the People does not seem like a drama in its conventional sense. Also, there is no scene change in the play and a lot of actions happened in the stage. But in many places, the poetic language is without any vigor. The play is highly performative with vivid dramatic elements. The play is more poetic than a play. It's also called as poetic drama and compared to T.S. Eliot's The Murder in the Cathedral. The play is a tapestry of symbolism and poetry, memory and melody, and evokes echoes for Mother India. Such kind of form we can find in the quite few numbers of dance drama written by Tagore, like Notir Puja, Chandalika, and Chitrangada, etc. The Will of the People is the story of an old woman who could not go to Benares to have a dip in Ganga for pilgrimage. So she decides to spend her money and build a well for the untouchables of that village. The play has huge social responsibility of the time as it synthesizes religion and society. She declares, all men and women alike can come, drink and drink here at my well with Harijans. She is happy to build the well for the poor people of the village. She thinks, instead of going Kashi, her God can also be pleased in this way. Thus, she does not hesitate to spend her lifelong savings. The spiritual matter takes turn into physical and social actions. Here the old lady symbolizes India. The play reads, she is you, you are all of us. Now let us talk about the storyline, the summary of the play. Based on a true story published in Gandhiji's Harijan, the play is about an old woman who is lame and thus unable to go to Benares to have a dip in the Ganga. So she decides to dig a well in her village. The play indicates that during that time, how social awareness was in harmony with religious spirit. Sarabhai upholds the Gandhian doctrine of Daridra Narayana. Mokashi Punekar writes Bharati Sarabhai's The Will of the People is probably the only articulate work of literary art giving complete expression to Gandhian age. The Well of the People has its origin in the Haridwar Kumbh Mela. In 1938, Bharati Sarabhai was touched and influenced by a story that appeared in Harijan, a weekly journal edited by Gandhiji. An old lady who struggles for her livelihood manages to save money and desires to travel to Haridwar. When she realizes that her desire would not be fulfilled, she spends her money in digging a well in the village for the benefit of the poor. Sarabhai's The Well of the People is a poetic play. It is lyrical and allegorical and presents a synthesis of religion and social service, as we mentioned earlier. In this play, an old woman falls to achieve her desire to go on pilgrimage to Kashi and Haridwar and decides to worship God by building a well for the untouchables in her village with her savings. Sarabhai herself admits in the preface that the elements of conventional drama are not present in this play. The story is charged with the Gandhian social doctrine. Prema Nandakumar comments in Bharati Sarabhai's English play in The Well of the People we are in a village confronting the tradition-bound idea of woman as a drudge. I unquote. The old woman, Rani, has toiled throughout her life. Widowed, she seeks comfort in work. As Bharati Sarabhai says in the preface, I quote, I have conceived her as inarticulate, a representative of our dumb millions. I unquote. Yet, the old woman, by her selfless action, rises above the debilitating circumstances of her life. She comes to symbolize faith. The chorus narrates the Jeremiad of the old woman. She thus becomes, I quote, a symbol of millions of women who suffer silently, writes Gowda in the English plays of Bharati Sarabhai with a brief note on Indian stage. Among the few women playwrights to make a mark in the Indian English drama of the 50s was Bharati Sarabhai. Of her two plays, one, The Will of the People, was published in 1943, and the second, Two Women, in 1952. While traditional womanhood and the Gandhian social doctrine are dealt with in the pre-independence play, the complex nature of the incipient educated woman with aspirations of her own, as exemplified in Anuradha and Urvashi, Bharati Sarabhai has a poetic and sensitive mind, and this is reflected in both her plays. The Will of the People and Two Women presents different aspects of the then prevalent notions of Indian womanhood. In his article, The English Plays of Bharati Sarabhai with a Note on English Stage, Gowda observes that the play's message is, I quote, God is not found in the hermitage in the Himalayas, but should be sought in samsara, the will of life and death. I unquote. Bharati Sarabhai's style and her writing are like flies in amber today, but they provide a starting point for the study of Indian women in the post-independence Indian English drama. Major themes and relevant issues as reflected in the play. Bharati Sarabhai's The Will of the People and Two Women were the first plays in English by a woman in the Indian context. Straddling as they do the pre- and post-independence decades, the plays differ from each other not only in theme but also in their mood and treatment. Though Sarabhai's style and expression are allegorical and multi-layered, making use of poetic in both, the first play is idealistic and Gandhian in tone. It deals with the subject of service to humanity by making available to many the life-generating elements like water that carries a strong contemporary appeal and is highly performative with its vivid dramatic aspects. Social concern is also an important part of the play. The play highlights a moral message that doing service to humanity by making available the essential sources like water is as important like serving God. So, the play has a strong contemporary message and appeal. She was hugely influenced by Gandhiji's ways of life and thoughts. Not till the last 4 decades of the 20th century, was there any notable increase in the number of plays written by women in English? Sarabhai uses this story for her play with her personal symbolism and crafts it into the contemporary social and political situation of Indian society. The old woman can be considered as a representative of all women in India. M.K. Gandhi, in A History of Indian English Literature, acknowledges the contribution of Bharati Sarabhai and hails her being a Gandhian with the feeling of social reforms. She was a freedom fighter in her own way and took part in active politics. She was also a member of Indian National Congress and supported Gandhiji in his struggle for freedom of India. The foremost among these women playwrights is Bharati Sarabhai, who has, to her credit, two plays, The Will of the People and Two Women. In both the plays, the author tries to give a new meaning to age-old beliefs and customs. The Vedantic concept that God is within is presented in them in different ways, and the two plays seem to be complementary in presenting the types of Indian womanhood. While symbolism and poetry are the specialities of the former, there is realism in the latter, and it is in prose. In the play, The Will of the People, Sarabhai projects a picture of synthesis of religion and social service. Moved by a story appeared in Harijan, she wrote the play according to which an old woman fails to achieve her ambition of going on pilgrimage to Kashi and Haridwar and decides to please God by building a well for the untouchables in her village with her savings. It is evident that the story is symbolically charged with Gandhiji's socio-political ideologies, and as Dr. Premananda Kumar says, it is a bold attempt on the part of Bharati Sarabhai to have taken up the challenge to present a spiritual problem in terms of physical action. A voice calls the individual soul to turn inward. I quote, "Why do you go to Haridwar, to Kashi, O my soul, when I am within? Pilgrim, pilgrim, why? What is it you seek outside?" The matter, like national movement and freedom struggle, are very much significant in this play. The play was written in 1940s when the land was going through turbulent times in various ways. This was also time of the national movements and struggle for freedom. The play shows a distinct impact of Gandhian thought. The play is one of the most typical expressions of Gandhian age. The play reads, I quote, "The old world wheel is turning, it has to take full circle. Orion there is burning, oh who to bring miracle." Here, the playwright refers to the burning of foreign good by the Indians in protest. This can be seen as one kind of victory. It also indicates the changing power scenarios during the movements. Further, the play continues, I quote, "The chorus sing, we preached and fought for instant, we brought to life extremed discoveries, saw instinct with future, our lost in class trees." I unquote. Here the playwright refers to the spinning wheel of Gandhiji. She imagines the goal with the spinning wheel, which is a Gandhian symbol. She says that the Gandhi follower can reach to the mountain through the wheel. Further, the writer continues, "The child rotting in embryonic state has to be moved from its mother's womb. We bless the agency which gives new lease to the creative urgency of her stirring cells. Here the playwright suggests killing the old ideas which is rotten in the state. She further suggests filling the gaps with the new ideas as proposed the national leaders like Gandhiji. One has to kill the rotten ideas and accept the new ones. Now let us summarize the discussion. So in this module we have discussed about Bharati Sarabhai, the playwright. We came to know about her personal life. We also learnt about Bharati's literary works and her style of writing. Further, we have discussed the play, The Will of the People. We came to know about the background and setting of the play. We have discussed the plot and summary of the play. Then we have also discussed the characters in it. After then, we have focused on various themes and other relevant issues reflected in the play. This play has multiple significances. The most important significance of this play is this is the very early plays written by any woman in India. This play addressed the burning issues of the society of that time, that is the caste issue. It is vividly described and addressed here in this play. And this caste issue, the caste oppression, is burning issue in today's India also. So this play has very much contemporary significance in our present socio-political context. And we have to be astonished by seeing the courage and the skill, the talent and the artistic skills what one of the early playwrights had, especially one of the early women playwrights had. This play also signifies the water issue, as in many ways, like in today's India, we can find that there are lots of crises regarding the drinking water in different parts of India, not only in the season of drought but throughout the year. So the old woman's urge to set up, to dig a well for the cause of the common people, for the cause of the lower caste people of India, actually significant in our today's India, in present context, that how much drinking water is important for the human being and how much scarcity of drinking water is there in present India. So this play is equally significant in our present context, and this is the greatness of the playwright Bharati Sarabhai. For further reading, you can find the further reading list, and if you want to know more about this topic, you can consult the e-text provided here. Thank you.